A software engineer is a professional who designs, develops, tests, and maintains software applications. In this episode of the podcast, we interview Aizat to find out what it's like to be a software engineer at Google.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Career Labs podcast. Today we have Aizat with us, who is a NUS graduate from CS, who is currently working in Google. So could you share a little bit about yourself with us?
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Aizat and I was a NUS CS major and I graduated in 2023, and during the 4 years of uni, I've been interning at various companies. So I started out at this startup called Shopback, and then I interned at Visa in the summer for that year as well. And then after that, I joined TikTok on the Android messaging team. And then after that, I interned at Google. And then after I graduated, I joined back Google as a full-time software engineer. And I've been working here for a year.
Okay, that's cool. So I guess a lot of people would like to know, what is computer science actually? Or use your own words to explain it to someone who probably doesn't know.
Yeah, so I guess computer science is a lot more math than people expect. So a lot of people conflate computer science with software engineering, but actually there's the theoretical aspect and the more applied aspect. So in the theoretical aspect, there's the study of operating systems and algorithms and the theory of computing. Yes, and then the applied aspect is more of the software engineering that we are all familiar with, for example, making websites and software or mobile apps and that kind of stuff. And in NUS, I guess the computer science major is a lot of the theory parts, which is the more core of your degree. But then there's also various applied modules that you can take as well. But yeah, that's mostly what computer science is. It's a form of it's a lot more theory and a lot more math than people actually expect.
I see. Sounds very difficult, very challenging. So that being said, right, why did you decide to pursue computer science? And let's say if I want to do computer science, how do I know that it's suited for me?
Right. So actually I didn't originally plan on doing computer science. So I guess growing up in secondary school and in JC, I always thought that I'll be doing some sort of research when I become a working adult. So my whole life I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna do life science research and stuff like that. And then during after A levels, I did actually join NTU. I applied for NTU their bio course, and I got it. And I was during NS I feel every life science major relates to this, but then we all just don't want to be unemployed basically. So the employment prospects of life science people is, if you're going into research, there's so much work, and then you're sacrificing a lot of your life to and basically not even getting paid that well. So I feel everyone who has gone down this path has thought about this the employment prospects. And I guess for me, I kind of made the compromise in a way. I was thinking hey, I still do want to do life science stuff, but then I also want to be employed. So in NUS there's this thing called computational bio last time. There is an actual course called computational bio. So there's more of the computing aspect, and I guess the employment prospects is better, and you have some sort of transferable skills to if the life science things don't work out. So that was how I ended up in CS. So yeah, I kind of just like wanted to be have better employment prospects. But during like the first year and second year of like CS, I found that I kind of enjoy like the CS part of like the degree. Yeah. And then I was also doing like a lot of internships by then. And then I actually, when I started doing like computational bio modules, like I felt like, wow, this is like so boring compared to like the CS modules that I was doing. So I ended up just like going with this, and yeah, that's how I ended up here.
Mm.
Oh wait, so actually you were in the computational bio course first.
No, I was not. So I joined CS, but then like when you join uni, right, you have like a certain number of like classes that you can take which are like outside of your major. So like for CS degree, you can actually take some like other modules as well. And that's the path that I went. So like I did a CS degree, and then I took some like combinational bio modules as like electives. Yeah.
Oh.
And then I just found that I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. And by then like all the internships is like, wow, so fun to like do this as like the job. And then yeah. And I think it worked out well, because like if I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with like the Japanese term, like the ikigai thing. So like for viewers who are familiar with ikigai, it's like this thing where like how to find your purpose in life or something like that. And then like it's an intersection of like four things. So like doing what you love, what the world needs, what you're good at, and what you can be paid for. And I guess like for like research, it's like you only satisfy like maybe 3 of it. You don't get paid that well. So yeah.
Yeah. So you joined NUS CS in 2019.
Yes.
And now everyone knows that CS in NUS is like a super duper competitive course. Was it any different back then? And do you think it's still worth it to join CS in this current day and age?
Yeah. So I think when I first joined CS, it was already quite popular, and like it was still like it was already like the straight A's kind of degree like to get in. And I think like over the years, like the enrollment has been getting bigger and bigger. So like naturally there's like a lot more competition now. And in my time, I would say the competition was quite a lot, but I think it's even worse now, like in the sense that there's even more people, right? I think like if you can look up the NUS like statistics, right, you'll see like I think it's almost like 1,000 CS majors or something like that. So, and then like you have to think, is there even like enough internship openings in Singapore for like to support these many like CS majors and stuff? So as to your question is whether it's still worth to join, I think if like no matter like regardless of like which major you or like which degree you choose, like I think if you're good at something, you'll always find a good job, like regardless of like which degree you take. Like even the degrees which are like traditionally not as good employment statistics, like if you're actually good at what you do, then I think you'll do well regardless of your degree. And yeah, and I would say like on average, like I mean CS majors are still paid like one of the best, even if you're like the most average student. So yeah.
I see. Yeah. So actually, I was also wondering about the workload for NUS, because I've heard that it's the course itself is very rigorous. So I was just wondering how many hours on average were you studying a day?
Wow, a lot basically. Like especially in like the first 2 years, like that's when all the foundational modules are like happening. And I didn't have like any like programming or like any CS background prior to joining NUS. So I think like the learning curve is pretty steep, and I spend a lot of time like on assignments and like just trying to understand things. Like it's very stressful. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean your mileage may vary because like I wasn't the best like in academics, so yeah, maybe I struggled more than others, but I think in general like it's pretty tough. Like you can, if you go to like the NUS subreddit, you'll see a lot of people complaining like about the struggle of like being in there. Yeah, and like I feel like the learning like never stops basically. So like every time you feel like, oh, I learned something, like I feel confident with this like this thing, and then like the next semester you must learn something else, and then like you feel that same feeling over and over again, and then yeah, the assignments are pretty tough also.
That sounds very difficult. Thankfully, I'm not going to CS. But so let's move on to a bit about your internships because you know, I was wondering about the whole internship experience as a CS major lah. And so could you like tell us about like a brief overview of what you did at each internship while you were in uni, and maybe tell us which one was the most memorable one?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I first intern at Shopback, and I took a leave of absence from NUS actually to intern there because originally like it was the COVID semester, right? Like it was just like the beginning of COVID. So I was kind of tired of like having to do all my lessons on Zoom, and yeah, so I just decided, hey, why not I just take this internship so I don't have to like deal with like online semester again. Yeah, so that was my first internship at Shopback. And over there, I was doing this thing called Salesforce development. So Salesforce is actually a company that has like proprietary software, and then they have their own special like programming language and stuff. But basically, it's like Salesforce mainly does like customer relationship management software. Yeah, so then my job was to like customize like Shopback's Salesforce platform to support like our business employees to do their whatever like workflow for managing like all their business stuff. Yeah, and I can talk about pay now also, like since we're talking about internships. So in Shopback I was paid like $1,000 a month. Yeah, so it's not that much, but it's like a starting point, I guess. Yeah. Then after that, after I finished the internship at Shopback, immediately it's like the summer of 2021, I think. Yeah, 2021. And I was at Aizat. I was doing working on like front end development. So I was working with React, and basically I was just doing like some internal website for like some employees to manage some sort of data, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. And I think the pay was like 2,000, so it was like double of that, which is not bad, I guess. Yeah. And then after that, I went back to school for like 2 semesters or something. And then I went back to school for 1 semester. And then in December of 2021, I started an internship with TikTok. And then it was for the messaging team. So like if you open the TikTok app and you go to like the DMs, that it was the team that I joined. It was a pretty small team in Singapore. And I was working on the Android app for that team. And yeah, I actually enjoyed the internship quite a lot because like for me, I feel like I enjoy like working on products that I personally use. So like I've used like TikTok a lot. So and then like DMs is pretty cool. Like you always send send TikToks to your friends and stuff. So yeah. And I was doing it from December 2021 until May 2022 part-time. So I was working like 3 days a week while doing like the normal school workload. And then the pay was like 230 a day. And I think at that time it was still COVID, so they gave you like $15 on delivery vouchers every day.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think now they removed that, so they only have like they don't have the vouchers anymore, but then they have food in the office. So like they expect you to come at the office to like work and stuff. Oh yeah, and then after that, after TikTok, I worked at Google as a software engineer intern on GPay team. And yeah, I think obviously I feel like Google was the best internship. So like the experience was like so amazing. Like everything, like even beyond like just the projects that we work on, is like the actual internship experience was pretty good. Like we had like the intern social events and stuff. And that was like at the time where COVID was like easing out a bit. So like we actually get to go to office and like enjoy all the facilities. Yeah.
I had a quick follow up. Oh, sorry. You saying?
No, I was gonna say I forgot to say the pay. The pay was like 5.7K.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wait, as an intern.
That's a as an intern. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that is crazy.
Damn.
Okay. I actually had a follow up question about your time in TikTok. So when you said you worked about the messaging team, were you what was your role? Were you like responding to people's like I don't know, they have FAQs or like they contact the team or something? What was your role?
So it's like it's a feature team. So we basically develop new features for messaging. Yeah. So usually for those kind of like support roles that you mentioned, like FAQs, there's like usually a separate like support team that handles all of that. For example, when someone reports a message, then some other team, I think like probably the trust and safety team, will handle those. But for us, we just develop new features. So like during my time when I was an intern there, I can talk about this since it's like already released. So like the other intern in my team actually made like the reactions to messages. So like if you long press a message, then there's like the emojis that come up. So like I think that the other intern did that. So that's like an example of like the work that team does. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, circling back, right? You said you took LOA for like one of your internships. Like how does that work? Do you just take like leave of absence and work?
Yeah. So
mods.
yeah. So actually in NUS CS, right? Like usually you like if you do like internships, it counts as like you get like module credits for it. So usually people will do like 2 summer internships, and that will count as I think 12 credits, which is equal to 3 modules. Usually in one semester you do around 5 modules. So and then over like another summer, maybe people will like take extra we'll do a thing called orbital, which is like independent self-study module to build like whatever you want to build. It's like a project over summer, and you get another 4 credits for that. So over your 3 years, you should get 12 plus 4 is 16 module credits, and that is like almost 1 semester worth of like extra modules that you did over the summer. So in a way, you can graduate in 3.5 years. I think most students can graduate in 3.5 years, but some people just choose to either like do a lighter workload on some semesters or take a leave of absence to like intern or just graduate early.
I see.
Is this like applicable across all like faculties and courses, or is it just like CS specific?
I think any major you can choose however many modules you want to take like in a semester. So like for example, if I'm like I don't know, like a history major or something, I can choose to do like maybe 24 or 28 credits instead of the normal 20 every semester, and then I'm just like speed running through my degree in a way. Yeah, it's just that for CS, CS majors, it's kind of like naturally happens because of all the summer programs that we have to do. Yeah. Not sure about if other majors have similar summer programs, but in general, if you want to speed run your degree, it's possible.
That's really interesting actually. I never knew there was this like LOA thing that you could do. Yeah, but going back to like the internship process, right? I was just wondering about the internship recruitment process, especially while you're in school. So is there like could you guys give us like a timeline? So like first round interviews and then, I don't know, resume screen, behaviorals, whatever.
Okay, sure. So usually for like the bigger companies, there's like a very rough time that they will start the recruitment process. So like for example, usually companies like the bigger ones will start their recruitment as early as August of the previous year to hire the next year's summer interns. So for example, let's just say like this company wants to hire interns for 2025 May interns, which is like the summer internship program. They'll probably start the recruitment process as early in August 2024. Yeah, and the usual process of like internship applications would be like you apply from the company's website, and then if your resume is good enough, then they'll usually send you an online assessment, which is basically like a coding test that they send you online to do. And usually if you pass that, they will have another like few rounds of interviews, which will be like either in person or virtually with an actual human. So like actual interviewer, I mean. Yeah, and then if you pass that, then usually you'll get the offer, and then you will start your internship the next year. But this is for like the bigger companies, but like for like other smaller companies or like mid-sized companies, their recruitment process may not be as structured. So they might be hiring like at a random time of the year, and you can always keep a lookout for those opportunities if you're like interested in doing internships that are not like off-cycle internships. So like usually the normal internship cycle will be in the summertime, but for me, I did like off-cycle internships for like TikTok and Shopback. So those were like not during the normal summer internship time.
So for these like off-cycle internships, do you do it while you were in school or LOE?
Yes. So for Shopback, I took a LOA, but for TikTok, I was doing school with part-time. Like I was working part-time at TikTok while doing the normal school.
Oh, wow. Okay. So beyond that, I was also wondering about like additional stuff that you may have done to get the offer. So I've been hearing a lot about people doing their side projects, grinding lead code versus like GPA or whatever other factors lah. So maybe you could just share with us which factors do you think was the most important for you to get the internship offers?
Yeah, I think above all, like experience will be the most like dominant like factor. Like if you have experience, that is always like better than your side projects. But if you have no experience, then side projects is the one that matters the most. Like at least for like a question that a lot of people ask is like, how do you get that first internship, right? Because like you kind of have this like catch-22 situation where like, oh, you need experience to get more experience. So like, how do you like break into this like get that first experience? So I think side projects are good to like get that first internship. And usually I would like recommend people to do side projects that actually interest you. So it helps with like sustaining like your motivation to do that project. Because like a lot of the projects that you see on YouTube is like or like people do is like, oh, I'm making like another to-do app or whatever. But like if you do something that is like actually something that you're interested in, then like you put in a lot more effort and it will show through your like your actual project, like how your like how does your project look like, and I think it'll be more impressive, basically.
So
And
for you, what side projects do you do personally? If you're willing to share.
yeah, so I did a few at the start. Most of them I'm not very proud of, but like in NUS, like I think I mentioned this thing called Orbital. So it's like independent, like self-study module where like you build a project with one of your teammates. And for us, we built a recipe app. And I think it's like a problem that we actually face. So like basically the problem that we are trying to solve is that sometimes you want to like cook stuff, but then like you don't know what you can make with the ingredients that you have at home. So like we have this app that helps solve this problem. Like basically you can like, it's a mobile app, and basically you can put in like search for recipes based on like ingredients. So like, and then there's like this pantry feature where you can like store all the ingredients you have in your house in the app, and then like you can filter the recipes like based on the ingredients that you have. So that was the very first project that I did, and I think I'm still okay. Like I feel quite proud of it. So like yeah, that's the first app that we both did, and yeah. And then like another app that I did was like a Android app to like plan the modules to take in NUS. So like basically like you have like 8 semesters to study like whatever to complete your degree, right? And then you need to plan out which modules to take to satisfy like the graduation requirements. So like I just made a app to help with that yeah. But I feel like the app may not be 100% correct in the sense that like it doesn't take into account like various special programs that NUS have, which may be used as like replacement for certain classes and stuff like that. So it may not be like super accurate, but like it satisfies like my use case in the sense that I didn't really take any special courses in NUS.
So very interesting to hear about all the apps that you coded, right? I just have a quick question on the
Link in
side.
bio.
No, what? No. It's basically like I heard that a lot of students, like be it from NTU or NUS, they'll pay the CS students to hack the aircon for them to get unlimited aircon for free.
Oh,
Do you have any experience with that? It's just a quick question.
I think in NUS, like the halls don't have aircon, so you don't really have, like I know in NTU they have like the card reader thing where you put like the card to turn on the aircon, but NUS doesn't really have that. So like people will usually just like illegally bring their portable aircon, so there's like no hacks required, right? You just bring in your own aircon, call it a day. So yeah, I did hear that about NTU as well.
Okay, cool. Sure.
I guess the final questions I have was because you mentioned earlier that you did your internship in TikTok while studying. So I was just wondering how you managed to balance like that such a heavy load, workload with like exams and everything versus a full-on internship.
Right. So yeah, that's the beauty about like degrees, right? Like, or like uni. I mean, you can choose like the modules you want to take in a certain semester. So like yeah, in a way like you're granted a lot of independence as to like how you wanna like plan out what you want to study. And obviously there's like certain modules which are like known to have higher workloads, and other modules which are like lighter in terms of the workload. So like basically I plan that semester to be like lighter in the sense that I'll take like the easier modules so I wouldn't like struggle as much. Yeah, but there's definitely like incredible people in NUS CS who can like do like, I don't know, 5 or 6 heavy CS modules and like still do very well. So yeah, that's not me though, but yeah, so for me I just like did lighter modules while I was doing internship.
But how many hours were you working in TikTok during that time?
Yeah, so I was working 3 days a week, so it's the normal like
Ah,
9 to 6 kind of hours.
okay. Yeah, no wonder lah. 3 days a week. Cause I was thinking it's like Monday to Friday thing. It'd be so tiring.
Yeah,
Fair
so
enough.
yeah, you can like back then I could just like agree with like or like coordinate with like my manager which days I'll be working to like coincide with the days where I don't have school basically. Yeah, so you need to like really plan like your timetable well to like take modules which allow you to have like certain free days, and those free days you can use to intern.
Yeah, no wonder you created that app lah, the Android app. Link in
Yeah.
bio, link in bio.
Yeah, don't use it, guys, please.
Okay, so how about we move on to your current experience at Google? So I'll start by asking, can you tell us more a bit about how the Google recruitment process is like what they look for, and like how's the recruitment process sort of thing?
Yeah. Okay, I guess like to a bit of a disclaimer, but like everything I say is just like my own opinion, and I'm like not like representing my company in any way. So like yeah, I'm just speaking from my own experience of like applying to Google. So for me, I interned at Google, and I converted to a full time. So like my process is slightly different compared to someone who like wasn't an intern and just applied for the full time job straight away, like directly. So generally the process is similar to as what I described. So you just apply on the website, and then they will send you an online assessment, which is like the coding challenge that you do. And after that coding challenge, you basically if you pass that, they will send you an invite for interviews. And I'm not sure if it's like still virtual or like on site, but anyway, you'll be interviewing with a real person. And for my internship, it was 2 interviews, and they were back to back. And then Google's recruitment process is slightly special. Like after the interviews, like the technical interviews where you do like for example algorithm questions, or like basically algorithm questions. If you pass that, Google will have like this special thing called team matching. So basically you will fill up some form that the recruiter sends you, and it's basically to like describe
Like
yourself.
personality.
No, it's more like what your interests are, and like in terms of like software engineering, there's like different kinds, right? So there's like mobile development, and you like back end or front end, or like AI and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So it's basically just like a form with like that kind of information. And then team matching is basically after you fill out that form, the hiring managers will choose who they wanna like talk to based on like the form that you set up. And then yeah, and then basically if you find a team that you like match with, and then that's where you get the offer. But it's possible to still like not get an offer at this stage, like if you cannot find a team that matches with you.
I see.
Yeah, so team matching is more of like, it's not really a technical interview, it's more of like a behavioral side. And then like it's more like whether you're interested in the team's project and the work that they do, because like every team does something different, right? So yeah, so for me, conversion to full time is I basically only just did team matching round, so I didn't do the technical interviews. Yeah, but for people who apply directly, I think it's you will do that same process. It's just that you have a lot more technical interviews, like you have many more rounds as compared to an intern. But the process is
I see.
basically.
So for Google interns, usually what is the conversion rate to a full timer?
I think it really depends on the year that you join. So like, it's not guaranteed to come back, obviously, because like, I guess it's based on like your performance and whether there is even like headcount in the company. So like, as you know, like recently there's been like a lot of layoffs and stuff. So headcounts is a lot less, and I guess, I feel like depends on the year that you join. So like, if you join in a good year, maybe there's like more conversions happening. Yeah, but there's definitely people who never convert to full time. It's not everyone that converts. Yeah.
Okay. I've seen some stuff online about googleyness. What is that? Is that like something they look out for when they're hiring you, or is it just like a trait they develop at Google?
Yeah, so like googleyness. Oh yeah, actually, thanks for bringing that up, because like, oh yeah, another thing, like, when you apply for a full-time job, I think you might have this googleyness interview. So yeah, it's honestly, I'm not super sure myself. So because I've never gone through it myself, because I was converted to full-time from an intern, so I didn't have to do it. But basically, like, googleyness is like a certain kind of like characteristic where they have a certain definition, but it's best to like look it up officially from Google. But I think one of the definitions, like, you're someone who like thrives in ambiguity. So like, given like our ambiguous situation, you're able to like, still succeed. So that's like one of the definitions of like googleyness. And I guess during the interview they'll look out for these kind of traits, but I wouldn't know exact details since I've never actually gone through a googleyness interview, nor have I given a googleyness interview. So yeah.
So currently you're a software engineer, right? Could you tell us a bit more about the hierarchical structure of like software engineer, like starting off in like a junior position, then like the progression upwards?
Yeah, so I think it depends on the company. So like, if you like, different companies will have like different leveling systems, and they don't really you won't really like know how do I say this, like, or just given a title, you won't actually know like what is the actual like benchmark of the engineer, unless you know what company they work for. So like, there's actually this website called I'll type it in the chat. It's called levels.fyi. But basically it kind of compares the levels between companies. So for Google, we start off at L3 for full time, and then it goes up to like, I don't know, pretty high, like L3, L4, L5, L6, L7, L8. Yeah. So L3 and L4 is just in Google, it's just called a software engineer, and then L5 would be senior software engineer, and then L6 is like staff, and then 7 is like senior staff, 8 is like, I don't know, I forget already, like principal maybe, I don't know. Yeah, but basically like the higher levels are very rare. So above L6 is quite rare already.
Wait, but according to this, seems like all the levels are still engineers. So do you guys ever like rise to like a managerial position or?
Right. So actually, the one that you're looking at is just software engineer. So like, in general, there's like 2 different tracks. So like, one is called the IC track, which is the individual contributor, which is what you're looking at. So those is like, they don't manage people, so you only just like work on the actual like code and technical aspects of the job. But there's a separate track called like the manager track, which is what you might be thinking of, like the engineering managers and stuff. Yeah, so they are quite different roles, and like managers are more about like managing a team and like growing a team and like managing stakeholders and that kind of stuff. So they are evaluated differently as well. So yeah. it's basically a different job.
Hmm. But they go in as like software engineers as well, right?
I think usually yes, like usually like engineering managers were like software engineers themselves, but like they switch to the management track after like a certain level.
I see.
Yeah, and also on the levels.fyi, you can like roughly see like you see the bar chart. I don't know if anyone want to share their screen now. If you see like the bar chart, it's kind of like it's not like one-to-one mapping, right? So like for example, a senior software engineer at a certain company might be just a regular software engineer at a different company, because like the levels are like the leveling system is kind of like different. Like as to how many years you need to take to be a certain level.
So like the different bars is like different amount of time it takes lah.
Yeah.
it?
So yeah. So I guess if you like open, for example, like I don't know, compare Facebook and like Google, they're pretty similar companies, but in general, like you can promote faster, I guess, in like Facebook or like Meta.
I see. Okay, so I was also just wondering, since you said there's like manager role and like a individual contributor role, right? So
Yes.
is there like a criteria to get promoted to like say senior software engineer or staff or even principal? And what is like the difference in skill sets that you need to have in order to make that jump?
Right. I feel I'm not the best person to answer it, considering I'm only a L3, which is like the right at the bottom. But in general, like there's like some sort of rubric for every company should have some sort of rubric as to what the expectations are for each level. So I guess it will differ from company to company, but in general, if you're performing at the expectations of the next level, then that's when you should be promoted. Yeah, but there's also like this concept called like terminal level, which is basically like the minimum level you need to be like the minimum level that you can stay at without like getting fired for like performance issues. Like for example, in Google, I think the terminal level is L4, so like you can actually stay as a L4 for like the rest of your career if you wanted to. Like some people don't want to promote in a way because like they might prefer like having less expectations, but then like obviously with like a lower level, your compensation is a lot less compared to like next level, but like your expectations is also less. So some people prefer that because like maybe they value like their work-life balance and stuff like that.
Wow, okay. So I was wondering, now we're gonna ask you, I think the question that everyone wants to know is, at like Google, right? Could you give us like a range of like the compensation? So maybe you can start with yours, and we can go up like the ranks, like the range, like the salary range.
Yeah, so actually like the levels.fyi provide like compensation. They're not the most accurate for Singapore, but it's a filter for like seeing Singapore salaries as well. But I think it's a very US centric like website, and in general like there's a lot of data points. So I would say the compensation provided on that website is pretty accurate in general. But usually the compensation is like structured in like a few parts. So like you have your base pay, which is like the amount that you get monthly, and then you pay like your CPF and stuff based off that monthly salary. And then some companies provide like this thing called RSU, restricted stock units. So it's basically like they pay you in stock. And for companies that are public, this is like basically real money because like you can actually sell the stock. like for public companies like Google, Microsoft, that kind. Yeah, and then for private companies, some of them also give like stock as well. Like for example, like a private company might be like ByteDance or something, and because they're not public, so the money is like in a way paper money. So you can't really sell it on the public market, but maybe there's like certain options to sell it when like there's a new investment round coming in. Yeah, so so basically they pay in base pay and then your RSUs, and then another one is like your bonus. So I think it's quite clear. Basically every year you get a bonus based on like your performance. It might be like a few months of your base pay. Yeah, it's usually a percentage of your base pay. And then for software engineers, you might also get additional compensation for being on call. Basically on call is like being like ready for like handling like production issues. Yeah. Basically, yeah. Like in NS is the equivalent of like on duty, like duty clerk or something like that. Or duty officer basically. Yeah, you get paid extra for that. And it's like a percentage of your base pay as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So is everyone, so the base pay is the same for each rank, right? So I was looking at it was L3, L4. So the base pay is similar, or it's the same for every single rank, is it?
No, it's not. Basically, as you level up, your base pay should increase. But usually at like the higher levels, like the RSUs will form a greater percentage of your compensation. So, for example, like maybe like L6, maybe like half of their pay will be in stock or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
But for like a L3, maybe it's only like 30% in stock. Yeah, just giving some random numbers. But yeah, basically the higher level you are, the more stock will be a greater percentage of your total compensation will be in the form of RSU.
I see. So now that we learned about like the big money question,
Yeah.
so maybe you could share with us what you do in your day-to-day life at Google.
Yeah, so I'm on the GPay team. So I actually work on the GPay.
Wait, sorry to cut you off. Is it the
Yeah.
same as, are you in the same team as from when you were an intern?
Yeah, so actually interestingly enough, right, like I kind of am in the same team. I'm like in the sister team. So it's actually not very common to join back like your intern team. So a lot of the people who like were interns, when they convert to full time, they join a different team, or maybe even a totally different product area. So like in Google, of course, we have like so many products, right? Like Google Maps, Google Search, and all that, Android and everything. In Singapore, we currently have like 3 product areas where which have software engineers, or maybe actually 4, 3 to 4. So basically we have like the GPay, which is where I'm looking at. And then we have Search, then we have Google Maps, and I think we have like a very small like open source kind of team. Yeah, so actually most of the interns in my batch who converted to full-time ended up joining like Google Search, even though they intern in GPay. Yeah. And so for like my day-to-day job, I joined back the sister team of like my intern team. I'm currently working on the actual mobile app itself, and interestingly enough, right, the project that I mentioned about the recipe app. So that app was built with a certain technology called like Flutter, which is basically like a framework to build mobile apps, but like you can build both iOS and Android apps with the same code base. So like usually Android and iOS will have like different code base, and then you have to use like different like frameworks to build. And usually like for example in TikTok, right, we have separate Android team and a separate iOS team. Yeah, usually. But then for GPay, it's actually built with Flutter as well. So yeah, we have I think we advertise ourselves as like the biggest Flutter base in the world or something like that. So yeah. And we basically work on I basically work on like some feature work, basically like building features for the GPay app, and mostly for like the India version of the app. Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting. So like let's say touch wood lah, I don't know, some problems happen with your team or you're not interested in the project anymore.
Yeah.
Are you able to like sort to a different team easily, or is it another whole interview process and our team matching or whatever?
I think like usually if that happens, right, I think you should like, before going to that like option, you should like explore this with your manager and like communicate it with your manager. Like say, maybe like communicate what you're interested in, and hopefully you can like work with your manager to do something that actually interests you. But in general, like there is like some internal mobility, like where you can transfer teams after like a certain amount of years. So there's if like there's another team that is hiring, and then you match the profile, then you can always just have a chat with the manager and see if you're like a good candidate for that role. And if that happens, then you can transfer to that team. But I think there's no like technical interviews involved when you're transferring teams.
Okay.
So like everyone knows the Google offices are like pretty fancy and like there's the buffet spread and everything, right? Could you tell us a bit more about like the benefits of working at Google?
Yeah, so I think the benefits are very good, obviously. Like so there's in Singapore office, there's like breakfast and lunch. There's some offices in like US that have dinner as well, but in Singapore we only have office and lunch, and it's pretty good. Like I think like having food in the office is like a really good perk, in the sense that like you don't have to like go out to buy food during lunch. And then like another thing is that you don't have to think about what you want to eat, because there's like all the options are there. So like in Singapore office, there's like a few cafes. One is like vegetarian, and then there's like Indian food, and then there's like Asian one, and there's like international food. Then there's like all the dessert and like fruits and stuff and ice cream. And then there's another cafe on like level 3, which is like more of the hawker food. Usually they serve like some fried rice or like burgers there, and yeah, everything is free. And
Wow.
yeah, and then there's like the baristas that like if you need coffee, then you can get coffees from there. Yeah, and other than food, the office is pretty nice. Like it's very big, and then there's like a lot of open space. So like traditional offices usually is just like desk and that's it, right? But then for our office, there's like a lot of open space and like a lot of like just like random place that you can sit down and do your work. And there's all the typical like, okay, I wouldn't say typical but then like some interesting like things we have in the office is that we have a rock climbing wall, we have a gym, we have a permanent escape room now also. So like,
Oh wow.
yeah, it's, in Singapore office there's a
What in the world
escape
is
room.
going on, man?
Yeah.
You just have time
And I
to
did
visit.
it. I think so. Like it's worth visiting for sure lah. As in it's very well done. And you have like it's like I'll pay money to go to this kind of thing.
Oh,
And that's the level.
Wow.
That's all the electronic stuff. Yeah. Like the like electrical components that you see in escape rooms. Yeah, they have that inside.
Wow.
actually, I'm more curious about because currently, you hear about like the war against working from home. Like people are getting called back to the office. I was wondering if Google still offered like this work from home type, or
Yeah. So
how flexible is
I think
everything. Yeah.
I think a lot of like companies are like pushing for return to office, but I think Google will still have a hybrid work arrangement. So officially it's like 3 days in office and 2 days you can work from anywhere. Yeah. But personally I go to office like 4 times a week. So usually Mondays I'll be working from home, and then the rest of the week I'll be in office. Because like I recently moved out, so now I'm like staying closer to office, and it's less of a pain to go to office lah, so I don't really mind. And especially like, you know, the office is nice, so like it's kind of motivation. So like you get food and you don't have to think about what food you want to eat. So
Yeah, free food, free entertainment. It's
yeah.
pretty easy, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, we want to ask about more of like the tech market in general in Singapore. Because recently, I mean, we've been hearing a lot about the tech layoffs and hiring freeze. So how was it like during your time?
All right, so as peak hiring was like during COVID, right? Like when the whole world need like
yeah.
technology and stuff. So I guess back then, there are a lot more internship positions for sure. And then, but I think I was like the first batch to have it bad, less a full time. Like, I think when I mentioned I had like 4 internships, right? And then I feel like, when I was applying for full-time jobs, it was still very rough. Like, this was in 2022 August, around when I was starting to apply for full-time jobs in 2023. For 2023, there weren't many companies that were hiring, and then like I was getting like resume ghosted by many companies. So like I don't even get any response. So I think now I feel it might be slightly better in terms of like the headcounts, but then the issue now is that there's just a lot more competition from like both the laid off people and like people who are like graduating. So like there's a lot more like people graduating. So even though I feel like maybe there's like more headcount, but there's also like a lot more people fighting for those roles. Yeah.
What do you think? It's like for like sorry, my computer use. Yeah. Sorry, can you remember? Sorry, my computer.
Yeah, but you're good now. You're good now.
Yeah. Okay. So no, I was wondering about, because from what you say, I get the impression that it's very competitive. So as a fresh grad, right? What do you think like the job prospects are for, you know, to find a job in CS in Singapore, especially with, you know, so much foreign labor?
Yeah. So job prospects for CS majors now, I think like it's kind of like what I said. So if you're good at what you do, then you probably won't have to worry about it too much. At the end of the day, like if you're good, you're always an employable person. But with regards to like foreign labor things, so actually I feel that being a Singaporean in Singapore is actually kind of an advantage. Like because like the like companies have like quotas that they have to meet, so like they cannot hire too many foreigners. So in a way, like being a Singaporean is like, I mean, assuming that you are like a good quality employee candidate, like being Singaporean, I think is an advantage compared to like a foreign person, because like hiring a foreign like person require or like consume like the quota that the company has. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess one final question would be on the rise of AI. So I think there's a few like famous figures in the tech world that were saying how AI might replace software engineers in the future. So I was just wondering about how you feel that AI would affect the future of software engineering in general.
Yeah, I think I don't. Okay, I mean, I don't know the future, but like I don't think like AI will completely take away our jobs. It's more of like a new tool that like software engineers can use to like increase their productivity. Like I feel like being a software engineer is more than just like coding. So like there's many other aspects. For example, like you have to like work with other people. For example, like product managers and UX, and these are like things which like I don't think AI can like replace you for. But in terms of like the coding aspect of the job and like the implementation in of like the software aspect, I feel like AI is just like another tool which helps you do your job better, lah, basically. But I don't think it's like something that will completely replace your job. Yeah, but maybe I'll be wrong. Who knows? Maybe I'll be like unemployed 5 years from now. So yeah,
Hopefully not, man.
yeah. But I mean, like, a lot of people,
Go ahead.
I think like people kind of like underestimate how much uh of the job is like talking to people. Yeah, so it's actually quite a big part of the job.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast.
Yep.
Uh,
Thank you for having me.
Yep. Thank you. Hello, thank you for watching till the end. If you learned more about life as a software engineer, a computer science student, or even an intern at Google, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next episode.